Welcome, friends. That's a scary, scary image, isn't it? Woo! Alrighty then. Let's see if I can bring up my friends here and okay, gonna do some of that and see if I can say boo. Can I say boo?
Boo!
Boo! I got two of the scariest mofo's.
Well, there's a lot of spooky noises going on.
Oh dear. It is scary noises in the background. I should have with me a ceiling fan man. Are you there, ceiling fan man?
Yes, can you hear me?
I do hear you. And there's a lot of noise in the background there. I think that is ceiling fan man.
Are you hearing an echo?
It's not an echo. It's a lot of background noise.
It's like a wind tunnel.
Okay. You know what? I thought it's so nice out. I was going to sit outside. So I'll tell you what. I'll go upstairs. So give me like a couple minutes.
Failure.
Call me right back.
Failure. Well,
I know. It was so pretty out there. Let me do that. I don't want to bring down the show. I'll call you right back. Or you call me, or can you do this?
We'll see how this goes. We'll try it again. Go ahead and hang out.
I can go inside. Maybe yeah. Call me right back. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Edit this out. No one will hear it.
And how's the professional in the show doing?
We're not quite sure who you're talking
No, that would be you, I think. Well, oh dear. Wayne, have you ever seen such a thing?
Oh, yes. Every week we do this. Well, every other week.
Every
Fly
other
by
week.
the seat of our pants. We got this.
Yeah, we got this going on. Oh, mercy. It is a wacky, weird world out there. While we're here, I suppose we could say howdy to your face to some folks from Melanie Moran and Michelle Waldo and Sue Finelli and formerly Hip. How did we get here? Winston, how are you, my friend? It's great to see all of you, David Vincent, and all the usual suspects. It's great to see you, my friends. Spicy Sarah and the whole gang is here. Well, let's see if we can find our friends. Well, I don't know. I don't know, ceiling fan man. I don't know what to do here.
Nice outside, apparently.
Apparently, it's real nice. It is actually really nice up in this neck of the woods. I can't blame him for wanting to be outside, but to be outside at the beginning of the call, tisk tisk.
Hey, sometimes we pick up an awful lot of background noise that way.
I gotta say.
Am I here?
Are you there? You are. Hey, look at you go. Look at you with technology, my friend. It's almost as if...
Is there any echo? Are we good?
It's almost as if we had supernatural help.
See, this is why Wayne doesn't like us to get together too much, because I'm that friend he doesn't like to talk about too much, you know? He's got the smart friend, and then he's got the one back there that, you know... He's nice that he says hi to me. So yeah, hi.
Yeah, I'm the one they keep in the basement mostly, which is probably the best thing these days because let's talk about let's
the trailer. Should we talk about the trailer? I had nothing to do with that. I'm just stepping back from that.
It was a weird trailer, but here's the premise anyway. So I had a conversation with it's not how do we get here? As far as I can tell, yeah, that's Bunny, Russell Babbitt, which became Brussels Rabbit, which became Bunny. Anyway, some months ago, I think it's been a year ago now, we were talking about a subject which we don't get to much in this community, although we some people do get to, and that's TI, or targeted individuals. And because it sounds a little crazy, when you get into it, and certainly if you look at the logistics of it, it seems like that'd be impossible. But if you step outside the logistics and said, well, if there was for example, supernatural inclusions here, then all of a sudden that becomes far more possible and even likely that much like the movie The Matrix, that people could sort of pop in and out, or personalities could pop in and out, and then those doing the work would never even really know what they were doing, but those receiving the harassment certainly would. Right. So there's that possibility, I suppose. And one of the things that I noted when a couple of things here. First is that when I was at a church in Redding, California, I discovered with some clarity that those people who, if they want to find a boogie under every bush, you know what? There's going to be one.
Boogie bushes?
A boogie bush. So if you don't know what I mean by that is that those there are people within the religious community, I suppose, if you want to say that, who are pretty certain that the devil made me do it. Right, is an appropriate response to almost every everything, and
Could it be Satan?
Satan, right? So there's a variety of answers, I think, to this, right? First of all, if you believe in Scripture, well, Scripture says certainly that there is an adversary, that there is an enemy, and that we are in a spiritual warfare. So that would be, allegedly an appropriate response. That there are temptations out there. Even we're told Judas Iscariot. Right, he was entered by, it says the devil went into him. Immediately the devil went into him, and he went and betrayed Jesus. So there's that story. Well, one of the things I was going to point out is, do you know how many times we're told Jesus cast out demons?
A whole bunch.
Well, see, here's the thing: a whole bunch, and that's a weird. What it does show for sure is that we're all a bunch of lazy researchers, because you knew this question would come up. And when I went to look, one of the things is it doesn't come up on the first page. In fact, the first about 11 pages of Google is sort of saying, "Well, did Jesus believe in demons?" Well, sort of, kind of. Yeah, he sort of kind of seems to it a bit, maybe, kind of, maybe, And somebody, I think, like Jerry Marzinski would be quick to tell you that when people say the devil made me do it, they're not fucking kidding. Right? So it's very interesting, because one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation is because when I was going back and looking at the ministry of Jesus, one of the things that struck me really strongly was how many times and how much of this ministry he did, which was to cast out demons. That he do almost in almost every case. We're told an impure spirit had taken someone, and that he cast them out. So what do you make of this, guys, that there is so much of this going on, and so much of it, in fact, that it seems like many things that they kind of don't want you to know how much of it there is?
I would say, yeah, that's exactly it. These things have a reality to them. See, because there's a vast spiritual reality that exists all around us, just under the surface, that we don't really see in the physical. And it's not beyond the realm of possibility that many of these things that happen in this spiritual realm affect us here in the physical. And that would be one of the things why Jesus would go about casting out these type of spirits, because there's definitely something to that. There's a spirit that underlies many of these different conditions, or any of these type things. Relating it to the targeted individual community, though, I haven't heard that angle of things. But it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility.
Well, here was my take on that, Wayne. Basically, was that, is that it would be a pretty much impossible, right, for people, I think, right, from the logistics of a targeted individual to do, to have things be as they say. But if you include the idea of people whispering, right, and being not necessarily full on possessed, right? But certainly responsive to the power of suggestion and the whisper that they say they tripped this guy, right? And they just kind of are in a mood, and so like, yeah, trip this guy. Well, 5 guys in a row tripping somebody doesn't mean anything to the guys doing the tripping. They just hey, I freaking tripped this guy. It's freaking hilarious. But the guy getting tripped is gotten tripped 5 times in a row for no reason, right? And so suddenly the tables.
I was in that study. I was the guy getting tripped.
Were you the guy getting tripped? Hey, you were tripping out. Forget about it. Hey, man, I think I bought these shoes from a drug dealer. They were laced, and I'm tripping out. Forget about it. Bada bing. Here's what I did. Here's what I did. I freaking, what I did? I killed my wife, and I said I was possessed because, hey, possession's 9/10 of the law. Bada bing over here.
Oh my God.
Hey, forget about it. Okay. What?
And I get blamed for that too. No,
What?
but it totally is a thing, and but he does talk about ways to, if they're really bad, it's through prayer and fasting.
Yeah, that's
sometimes he said.
Well, that's what he said. This is what he came down from the Mount of Transfiguration, and he had given the 72, not just the 12, but the 72, the ability to cast out demons, and they were excited. And he said, "Well, don't be excited, that you have the ability to cast out demons. Be excited that your name is written in heaven." But that's the thing they were excited about, right? That even the demons are subject to us, right? That we can cast them out. And then when they couldn't. Right, then what? Well, Jesus came out and he said, "You what? You perverse generation! How long will I have to put up with you?" So what's this interaction going on? It's wild. This thing, but here, nobody at that time seemed at all like it was an inappropriate thing to say that my daughter has a demon, right? Or my son has a demon. They had no trouble whatsoever going to that as their first call, right? That there's something wrong, not that they have a mental illness or they have a chemical imbalance, right? They went straight for, they have an unclean spirit, help me. And immediately the unclean spirits immediately say, "I know who you are." So it's not as if it were a chemical imbalance that knew who Jesus was. I'd say that seems unlikely, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, there had to be some kind of an intelligence behind it to understand that. And that's so much of the world around us that we don't understand. The natural world around us and these spiritual realms that exist around us, these intelligences do inhabit those places. And sometimes they manifest here physically in ways we wouldn't think of as being like an intelligent type manifestation. But nonetheless, it's really there. And that's why I would say that the spirit that's being cast out would be the thing that may be causing some of these different things. And that doesn't necessarily hold untrue today, and it held true then. It's all the same thing. It's just we have a different worldview of the people, or from the people of that time. And that's the thing. They had an understanding of this spiritual world that we've kind of lost in the modern Western civilization.
Well, sure. There would be some, who would say that I'm just too dumb and I don't get it. That we're just the demons. We're just talking about manifestations of world, different things in the world, and I just don't get it. Yeah, I mean, there are those who would say that, which is, it's okay. But certainly, I will say that my very first encounter with supernatural or things that were unseen were with malevolent beings when I was but a child. And so that was not cool. I didn't dig it. That was not cool for me. I was not a fan of that.
No, I don't think any of us are a fan of that. I also had some very strange supernatural encounters when I was young with what I would call malevolent things. So
Yeah.
I could understand where you're coming from. It's not a comfortable subject for a lot of people either.
Yeah.
Just the admission that there might be a reality to this stuff for some people is just too scary for them to consider. And once again, that's that whole cognitive dissonance thing kicking in, because it doesn't fit into that neat little tidy box of materialism that we've been handed.
Well, sure. I was going to ask it
prior to if you go back to biblical times, you got the priests were the ones, they were the in between, the tribe of Levi, because God was it Moses' brother-in-law or father-in-law said, "Dude, you're killing yourself. You need to not handle every little thing, and if there's something important, have these in-betweener guys talk about it, and if not, then you go to God." So the priests were the name for the people that would go around, and that's in Leviticus, and they teach you, wash your hands, wash your feet, clean these pots, and if there's, some illness, either break this pot or do this. And then if you got the plague in your home, the priest would come by and they would make a recommendation as to like close it off, watch it for a few days. If it didn't go away or got worse, they'd actually tell you to remove bricks and things
Quarantine?
and try to clean your home. And they were called the priests. And then when you fast forward, of course, like everything else in this world, they like morph the words. They took the word priest, they made it to some horrific like pedophile kind of person. And then what did they do? They took the new persons that did doctrine and they called them doctors. And now we have the new priests or the doctors. It's the same thing. They just changed the word and they made the word priest sound horrible. But they were the original doctors back in the day.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, you're correct with that. A lot of times these different professions were kind of merged together into the priestcraft. And that goes back along the lines of the way the mystery school teachings have come forward through secret societies and stuff like that. There's a whole priest class that exists behind the scenes that we don't see in the modern world, but I assure you they are there, and they consider themselves this priest class, but they go by different titles and different names these days. But that's kind of where the idea of the priest came from, and how back in those times this was the person that was entrusted with these type of duties. But that thing has become very perverted in the modern era, and up through the ages the whole thing's been inverted. And like you said, priests are now associated with all kinds of bad stuff. They've kind of turned everything on its head, and made the priests of the modern day, these would be your doctors and stuff, they're now the priests of the cult of scientism. So that's kind of what we're given now. But
and so if they are
that doesn't discount the reality of spiritual things. And they try to, through this hyper-materialism that they push on us, they try to veil this whole spiritual idea.
What then if we just flip it over and say that these new priests are trying to inject demonic influences into your life, not to protect you from them, but rather impute them into your life?
Yeah, that's in total inversion, and that's exactly what's going on.
Injection of it, yep.
So, certainly one of the things that I was talking to Ceiling Fan Man about was that we often talk about, in Matthew 24, and Jesus says, this it was in the day of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. And I think that in some ways, perhaps we lose sight of the fact that it's also as it was at the coming of the Son of Man, it will be at his return, as it was his first coming. It will be his second return as well. And so, again, there was so much of his ministry was devoted to the casting out of demons, which would indicate that they were there. Their presence was, prevalent. They were all over the place, and I think that's probably true now. In this place where, again, we talk about the idea of NPCs and perhaps the sort of TI thing, that NPCs are, if not, fully possessed, certainly. Easily whispered to, that the power of suggestion is so easily incurred on them that they and I see this in, for example, in social media. When I see a news report come out, there's a half a dozen people I know exactly what they're going to say, exactly what their response is going to be. They're going to be immediately the first to go into virtue signaling. They know exactly what to say in response to this, and it seems that this is again a kind of I don't know how to put it, like whispers of the demons, kind of like. What would you say to that, Wayne and Ceiling Fan Man?
Well, I would think that, if we go to where, let's start with, say, a third of the angels came down, and, there's discussions who demons are. Are they the fallen? Are they the dead giants and the ghosts of the dead giants and all that? I've heard it all. But regardless, if I truly believe we're in a closed system, and if energy never dissipates, they're in here. They've been here the whole time, and it even says scripturally, everything stays around to the end time. So that way, the bad people, everyone gets to see their comeuppance, and everyone else gets to understand that you don't go on that side. And so, yeah, I totally believe that they're all among us. And if you watch, any movie or TV, they show you that cloaking ways, or without your they live glasses you can't see them. I truly believe they walk among us, and just like in a video game, why they call it an NPC, you can walk past them and it's like nothing really happens, but if you say something or give them some reason to look at you funny, suddenly they're on you and discuss, turning on you or yelling at you. It
sounds like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had one just the other day. I swear some of these people, they just seem like they're not even real. We were, where were we? We went to, we had a nice day out yesterday, so we decided to go to a restaurant. And we were standing outside waiting for them to make us. We're going to eat outside, take it out. And this woman walked by, and I think she was at least double masked. And she, for no reason, she had to walk this close to us, but walked near us and made sure she turned her head away from us, so she wouldn't breathe any of our stink because we were barefaced.
Oh, yeah.
And made a snort noise. And I even said to my wife, I'm like, that just seems so obvious. There was no reason for her to come all the way over here just to do that. You know what I mean? So I don't know what's going on.
Wow. Mercy.
Yeah, man, there's definitely something to this whole NPC phenomenon that's going on. And some people just seem more susceptible to suggestion than others. And this could be equated to a spiritual type of energy, I would say, of sorts. And we see that going on all around us. And that type of thing has become more and more noticeable to us. I don't know if it's always been that way, like in the past, but just the past couple of years, we've kind of noticed this phenomenon. And it's a sad thing, especially when it's people that you know very well and care about that actually kind of fall into this narrative now, this kind of thing. I see it with a lot of my personal friends that I've had through the years and stuff. Many of them are so caught up in this whole fear narrative and everything, they just buy everything that the mainstream media and the news and everything throws their way. They just, are totally hung up on the whole thing and think that that's their reality, and they just walk around in a daze. It's like a zombie movie most of the time. You see them out there in the public.
There's two levels. There's one I described, then you're right, there's the family and friends and stuff that you can't get through to them. It's odd. Because Baldini was there when I first met him at a park, and there was this woman in the pouring rain that was walking a dog all dressed in red, and she kept walking back and forth about 8 times. It looked weird. Yeah. But, that to me is a totally different type of NPC. That's someone that maybe is just a demon walking around, It's hard to say, but she had no reason for going back and forth in the rain. It was pouring.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder. It really makes you wonder. Some of the people, some of the things you see, like it's not something that looks natural. Like you said, it didn't look natural, and that kind of thing. You have to wonder: is there some kind of a spiritual underpinning behind some of that? Some of the different people we encounter, or these different ideas. As far as the NPC thing goes, it's like people have zoned out. They've checked out. It's you can see it in their eyes. A lot of them they've checked out, man. It's like the lights are on, but no one's home.
And whatever really they didn't do with the TV, they're getting with the vax now, I think.
Yeah, I think that's going to cause all kinds of problems in the very near future here. That's a whole other topic to discuss. But I think it's going to further this type of a thing that we see. It's going to kind of further this spiritual divide between what we would say the quote unquote the awake or the woke or however you want to say it, and then just the rest of the throngs of the masses. The ones that walk around in a daze listening to their orders that they're given by their television sets. It's really sad to see. Combination of psychological reasoning and this whole spiritual underpinning. And I think the spiritual underpinning is the bigger part. We're definitely in a spiritual war right now. And the people that don't seem to recognize that, the ones that seem tied up in this whole hyper-materialist view of the world, they're the ones that are suffering these effects and walking around in a daze. But they don't realize it. They think that we're the ones that are nuts. We're out of our minds because, we understand something they don't seem to grasp onto. They've really bought in on this whole hyper-materialist push. And I think the vaccines and all the various other things are only going to further this because, it's really degrading the thought process and the spiritual minds of people.
And that is what I think suggesting here, right? Is that exact thing, Wayne? Is this polarization that we have come to, that they have done a remarkably good job of. There's no question. It is, kudos to them for how well they've performed this feat. But certainly, it is. It does seem like that spiritual aspect to it is such that they don't even need the media anymore. They simply can just whisper in their ear.
Yeah.
The media simply, is kind of adding to it, right? It's a bit of confirmation bias, but ultimately
keeps them in a state of hypnosis almost, so they can continue to suggest things.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's kind of what it looks like on the surface. They get their marching orders from the television set, the people that set the agendas. These are the ones in control, and they tell these people how to think and what to think. And I think these people's minds have become devoid of anything else except for what's constantly fed to them. And this is done through many different methods. It's done, primarily with the entertainment. See, that's the thing. We're a highly entertained society. But aside from that, people really don't think. Like, what's their major concern? If you go and you talk to what we would call maybe the normies on any given day, you go talk to your normie friends. What are they going to discuss with you? What comes up in conversation? Man, did you see that TV show last night? Or did you, did you watch that baseball game or this or that? Like, it's all nonsensical stuff of no real importance. That's the things that fill their minds. It's nothing that's going to help them spiritually. There's a spiritual void there, and they walk around in this spiritual vacuum. And where you have a vacuum, nature abhors a vacuum, so something's going to fill that. So if there's a spiritual void, a spirit's going to fill that.
You want to hear a random story? Has nothing to do with anything.
I love random stories, man. Come on.
All right, so here's a random story. My wife and I, we live in Lynnwood, Edmonds area, so we're pretty close to the waterfront. There's a lot of spooks stuff that goes on around here. Last night, she said, have you noticed in the last couple of weeks-ish, it's as though we have somebody living on the second floor? And of course, we don't. It's it's like a little manufactured home, and I was like, yeah, that's weird. It sounds just like we have somebody living on top of us, but we don't. And then she says, isn't it weird that we've gone about 3 weeks and we haven't talked about it for 3 weeks? I was like, funny. Yeah, that's really weird. So, we try to figure. So she's trying to figure out what could possibly be doing it, and she's thinking sound echoing off of a an apartment complex. And I'm like, no, I think what it is, it's the military doing their thing about a mile away, and it just the sound comes and it goes, makes a noise, and it sounds like that where we are. And she's like, yeah, that's probably more likely, but it does sound just like somebody's in an apartment right above us, except they're not. But yeah, that was the other weird thing, is that it went on for about 3 weeks, and we didn't say a word about it to each other because it's weird because there's clearly nobody that lives above us.
Right. And once again, I would say that's that thing. A lot of people aren't comfortable talking about that kind of
Okay,
idea.
so and that's what I'm getting to, right? I think that's what I'm getting to, is that sort of like nobody talk. Everybody's got a favorite burner on their stove, and nobody talks about it.
Yeah, true.
One?
That's a good
Wait,
analogy.
you guys only have one?
Yeah.
Jeez. No, I'll tell you one, because now that we've understand these, there's different levels or veils or whatever you want to describe it as, but it's like there was this thing in this house I grew up in, and we had this hallway where you could
Just
sit
one?
down. It was what?
Just one. A thing in the house you grew up in. Just one.
Oh, well, this is the one I'm going to do right now.
Never mind. Never mind. Just keep going.
So there's a. Does he interrupt you too, Wayne? He's just always like this. So there was this hallway.
He interrupts a lot, just as much as I do.
I do too. Hey, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this. Apparently, I've joined the society of On and On and On and On and On and On. So,
you're a member of On and On and On. It's a support group for the friends of people that talk way too much. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I had no idea I had this problem until like a bunch of people said, yes, you have it. So yes, welcome to be part of this. Anyways, where was I? Oh, so we had
no
this
one
hallway.
knows.
Yeah. No one knows, exactly, either myself included. So we called it the pit because back in the, what was this? I guess the 70s, they had like a step down where the TV in the living room was. It was real impressive, Yeah. So we stepped down, you sat in there, and if you're not regular vision, your peripheral, it comes off the side of your eye, you could see down this hallway. And I swear, I saw this dude walking down this hallway, and he was in an old suit. I could see it, and he had one of those Abe Lincoln top hats, right?
Okay.
And he walks down this hallway, and I look over, and there's nothing there. And I was like, okay, that was weird. And it happened a bunch of times. But then one time I was sitting there, and my dog looked up and down the hallway. I was like, okay, are you seeing it too? And she didn't tell me, but, that's okay. But so here's where you fast forward. I can't tell you how many years that went on, and then we were having a Thanksgiving dinner, and my aunt came over, and we're all sitting at the table, and none of us was in the other part of the house, and all of a sudden she looks up and she goes, well, that's weird. And I go, what? She goes, I swear I just saw someone in the hallway with a hat on. And like we all froze because everyone in the house had seen it. I'd seen it, my brother's seen it, my mother, my father. No one ever said anything to anyone because we all thought we'd think they're crazy. And then you fast forward to just like, I don't even know, maybe like this year, I first heard about there's a type of entity supposedly that's called the man in the tall hat or something. And so we had
the Hat Man. Yes.
Yeah, Hat Man. So there you go. There's one in the wheelhouse there.
And even my wife saw one when she was younger. The Hat Man. Yeah, tall guy in a hat, dark. Yeah.
I never felt fear from the guy, but I could never really get a really good look at him because when you turned, he wasn't there. It was just in your peripheral.
She did. She got great fear. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, there's a whole variety of different kinds of these entities per se. The Hat Man is one of them that's a more common one, one of the more well-known ones. This relates to a phenomenon called shadow people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I find that that topic very, very fascinating. In fact, I just found a PDF download of a book about shadow people, and I didn't start reading it yet, but I've actually encountered some of those in my day. I've seen them, and it's
one of my kids saw
one
one just recently, freaked him out. Yeah, it was like running along the street. He was going into someone's house, and he turned and he saw it like run from like one light pole to another, and he's like, "Let's get the hell in."
In Renton, Washington, my wife and I encountered the Mothman, red eyes, big wings, about 8-foot wingspan. Yeah, just briefly.
Can't you just turn on a flashlight? Wouldn't that work?
Yeah, no, I guess
No, then
not.
it would fly toward you, man. You don't
Oh,
want it
shit,
coming
you're
at
right.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Without a lot of 5.1 gigawatts, you don't want to. Yeah.
5.1 gigawatts.
I'm the wrong friend to have with you. When Mothman shows up, I'll shine a flashlight. He'll come right at him.
Yeah.
Why is it chasing us? I don't know.
I'll be with Wayne and Baldini, and I'll be like, "Oh, look, Mothman!" Will be the last words I ever say.
He's
Like
looking
we
for-
told him not to turn the flashlight.
He's
on.
looking for the leftover cocaine. They always do.
Oh,
They always do.
Maybe Mothman has it, huh?
Yeah, right. That's anyway. But
And
no,
apparently, Dogman's always looking for Jen. She's always filming Dogman.
Dogman. Okay, good. The forest people. No, that's.
I have forest people, no Dogmen.
No Dogman. Yeah. I had experience with forest people when I was but a wee lad when I lived in the Pacific Northwest, and then no mas, no more. But I know for sure that I encountered one when I was but a wee lad, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
I haven't actually met him. One of my sons has seen him. Some of them have experienced it. They ran by an area in our house, and we had a bunch of when our kids were living with us, and they would run by and slap the side of the house at night, every night for like I don't know how many months. But then we started exchanging gifts. They've left us amazing gifts. So I know they're out there, and I'm like, well, if you're out there, I'd rather make friends than enemies.
Can I ask what kind of gifts?
Oh, they got us. We're registered at Macy's, and so no.
Okay. Okay, good.
No, one time I found
Really
a
nice coffee maker they left.
they got me one of the nicest coffee makers I've ever owned.
Yeah.
Yes, I got to shout out to the large feet people.
Okay, yeah.
No, no
shoes. They got me shoes. What the fuck?
They got me snowshoes.
They got me snowshoes. What'd you expect?
That's the thing. They only get shoes, large shoes. None of them fit. They always get huge shoes. They never fit. Oh, this got downhill.
Yeah, fast. It went downhill fast. Thank you. Thank you very
What
much.
are you talking about?
I don't know.
Go back to your show. I can talk about Bigfoot on my show later. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, wow. Okay. And so that one time at band camp.
Oh boy.
Oh, okay. You asked me what they brought me. So one time I found one time at Pancake. Yeah, I found they had a long stick that was jammed into the ground at approximately a 33rd degree angle, and it was embedded at least about 6 to 10
Illuminati
inches
confirmed.
deep. And it had no bark on it, and it was worn on both ends, so it couldn't have just impaled there by itself, like sitting and falling. And then one time they left me a pine cone, and literally, I think I've shown it to you, Baldini, but I don't know, it's about a foot long or so, and it comes from a tree in California. It doesn't even come from Washington, and it was set gently right next to a fire pit in front of our house. And unless an eagle dropped it and it landed perfectly, it made no sense how it got there.
A South American eagle?
So they've given us things like that.
An unladen South American eagle?
Yes, it was yes.
Okay,
yes.
perfect.
They held it
So
together
you're
with a
telling
tusk,
me-
with a husk.
With a husky, yeah.
So what you're telling me is Bigfoot's a Freemason?
Yes.
At a 33 degrees, and there's the
Yep.
eagle.
He's Illuminati
symbol.
confirmed. Yes.
The Sasquatch line.
Well, he worships Moloch. He goes around searching for things to sacrifice to Moloch. That's
He had that poopah hat on with the horns, and he did try to shake my hand in a weird way, I guess.
Oh,
So,
see, it was that weird handshake. You should have known.
Where were we?
Okay.
Is this on? Are we
This
still
is
here?
this is on.
I
Okay,
think
so
it is on.
all right, so let me go back then to this idea because I am curious about this. That if, for example, the number of people that Jesus cast out, or the number of people that Jesus cast out of demons, how would if you compared that to what's happening now? That would be seems like a pretty high percentage, right? If you compare the number of people who were sick, for example, as a percentage of people that he encountered, what do you expect that would come to? It looks like aggregate 5% total of the total population was sick. So if you say similar or more, because he was doing more casting out of unclean spirits. So if you think it's more than 5%, that's a lot. That's a lot. As a percentage.
I mean, they don't tell you exactly how long he was doing it and how many he did. So
No,
I don't know.
Okay, they don't, but there is
Because he's just one guy. I mean,
okay.
obviously he could do way more than we could.
Okay,
I mean, I can't make that fish thing happen.
Okay,
but
so he's one guy, but he does it consistently and constantly. The first thing he does when he shows up, right, is begin to cast out demons. In every,
it's like cleaning the area he's showing up to.
in every version of the gospel, all 4 versions of the gospel, and in the Acts of the Apostles, even after he's gone, the Acts of the Apostles, they do the same thing. They begin to cast out demons. So it seems as if this is something that is again, consistent around us, and I would again, leading me to I'd say suspect. How about that? Not be convinced of, but suspect that a good many people around us are strongly influenced with the power of suggestion of those malevolent interdimensional beings who do not have our best interest at heart. That's what I'm going to suggest.
I think that's a logical suggestion, given
that we're surrounded by
the scriptures and the facts around us. I think that's a logical conclusion to reach, that might be a possibility.
I think it strongly suggests that there are people, many people around us that we might even think of as NPCs that are not just not there, but are under the influence of malevolent beings.
Yeah, it's a definite possibility. I would say that there are malevolent spiritual forces that do inhabit the world around us, and we may not always be, keen to their presence, but there's definitely an intelligence there, and a lot of times it is a malevolent force you see when it's paired with these different kinds of spiritual ideas. So, yeah, I would say that's probably an accurate assessment. Plus, the Bible tells us that. So, that we're in a spiritual battle here. It's spiritual warfare going on a grand scale.
Well, it's interesting that, again, both could I not find an open answer to how many times Jesus cast out demons. So I'm going to have to do a quick bit of research before next week to figure that out. But the answer from Google in terms of the first encounter with a demon, it says it was in Isaiah, which is not possible. Because Isaiah is well after Psalms, and Job was actually the oldest book in the Bible. Job mentions encounters with Satan himself, so that's not possible. It's like they're intentionally fucking up.
Google? You think so?
You think so? Yeah.
They're about as reliable as Snopes.
Yes, I was just going to say Snopes. Yeah, exactly.
Probably owned by the same people.
Exactly. Oh, man. Unbelievable. But, yeah, you couldn't be more far off if you tried with that answer in terms of where the first one is. So I suppose if you were to go back in the linear timeline, certainly you get the Book of Enoch would have us going in the right direction, I think, with the Watchers and what was happening there. So that seems to be the closest that we're going to get in terms of in terms of that. But it's interesting to me. I've often been fascinated by this idea of we are in I don't know how to put it, like hardware software compatibility. That in some way we are a hardware machine or whatever, but that the software can be overlaid on top of it if you have the wherewithal to do so, and that our enemy does have the wherewithal to do so, that they can possess, if you will, they can overtake us. It's a fascinating premise. That this is not only accomplished, but not only feasible, but it's fait accompli. It's been done numerous times, and in such a way where it became necessary for Jesus to do a whole bunch of undoing it. So it seems like it's a pretty common thing. When you start to look into it with some depth, you realize that it seems to be a pretty common thing, which is weird.
Well, yeah, I mean, what they viewed as common back then, we would look at it differently today. We don't necessarily attribute what we see to, these spiritual forces or these possessing spirits per se, but that's
what I'm getting to. So we don't necessarily now, but shouldn't we maybe? Right,
we should.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with that assessment, because that's part and parcel of what's going on today with the hyper-materialist push that this world has given us.
Yeah.
We ignore the spiritual side of this, but
I couldn't agree more.
We do need to look in more depth at these things, at these different ideas, because there's always that spiritual underpinning that holds up these different things, these different types of behaviors and different illnesses and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
So, like someone was writing to me recently, and they were discussing, cryptocurrency, and then I thought about the words. That sounds like the currency of the dead. And then when you think about what is a zombie apocalypse, well, we know apocalypse is just the unveiling and the awakening of truth and lies and all that. So the zombie part would somebody that would be like, soulless, without God, and truly just following scientism and is masked up with shots in their arm. So, I mean, by definition, it seems like there it all is right there in front of us,
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, we're just seeing the manifestation of that in the physical reality now. It's this, it's all part and parcel of the same thing. It's just a matter of your viewpoint. And we've been largely, in our Western society, we've been so indoctrinated with the whole scientism methodology of things and the whole thought process of materialism that we've lost sight of these different spiritual ideas. So it's very hard for people to actually break away from that framework and really view these things in a more spiritual light. And that's a shame. And I think right now what we're seeing happening is the veil's being lifted now. It's the time of revelation. All's going to be revealed. And we see that happening right now. Everything's becoming out there in the open for us to see.
Oh, definitely, there's no question about that. They have been for some time now showing us their hand in terms of what they do at award ceremonies and that sort of thing. You kind of can't miss it. Oh dear.
The V word.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Oh, that's just crazy conspiracy theory talk.
Right. Right. I mean,
yeah.
Dang, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to get into all that because, dang, yeah. I think again we would be remiss if we did not. I found the first time I heard Jerry Mazinski talk, about his story, I was fascinated because I was like, yes, absolutely. I can't believe that the number of people who say. Tell their stories of mental illness, even within the legal system, and those people who are incarcerated seem so amazingly consistent. How could you not put those stories together, and yet they are not even allowed to do so? It's like against the rules to put any correlation together. It seems remarkable to me. Like, nope, don't look there. Especially don't look the places where they're telling you to look. Don't look there for sure, because that would be bad. You don't want to go there.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of this hush-hush type mentality that goes along with that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Everybody just suddenly got really quiet. We're like, yep, I guess so.
Yep.
There was noise happening in my house. I had to mute, so it was an awkward moment for me.
It was awkward for us too.
That was an awkward silence.
I felt like I needed to hold your hand.
Well, go ahead and sing to me.
Well, okay. I want to hold your hand.
No, that was a joke. I didn't really mean it.
Oh, okay. Well, but I really did want to hold your hand.
And he really did want to sing, so you just gave him the outlet there.
That's true.
Right, exactly. That's what, what happens when you spill beer into a drum machine. It tries to sing. So, we got that going.
My goodness.
Got that going.
Oh my goodness.
Which is nice. Yeah. No, I got 1 million of them. I didn't say they were any good, just that I got them.
No. You just promised that they would continue and be more frequent. Yes.
Yes.
And they wouldn't get any better. That's the other part of the promise.
That's the other part of the promise. But we can promise that we are in a spiritual battle, for sure.
Well, here, I got a question for my smart friends then. So let's say you've got someone that you care about, and you're like, well, let me do a little dabbling here and do what Jesus said, and out spirit, and you go boom, and you want him out, and then you find out that Jesus says, well, you can do that, but if you do that and they don't want him out, they can bring 7 of their friends back with you. What do you think of that? Because that kind of sucks. How do you know? How do you do it? I mean, how can you feel confident in trying to do it without thinking you might be like making it worse for the person? Help me with that one, friends.
I punch him right in the face.
Wait, what?
I said I punch him right in the face.
No, but if they're casting out a demon, and let's say they didn't want it, and now all of a sudden you've made the situation worse according to Scripture.
Okay, so that actually is a challenge, because Jesus did say, right? He did tell the story that if a demon gets cast out, he goes to the dry places, and then when he comes back, he finds it swept and clean, and he comes back and he gets 7 more wicked than himself. And comes in, and so there is a situation as described in Peter chapter or 2 Peter that describes that those who first found joy in following the way, when they leave the way, it can be worse for them in the end. And so, just like anything else, like somebody who, for example, struggling with alcohol. They have to want to leave it, even if they know it's bad, even if they know it's harmful for them. Sometimes they just can't, and that there is a truth there for some people. And I would recommend prayer. Right. So when Jesus came down from the Mount of Transfiguration, and the disciples said, "How come we couldn't get this one out?" He said, "This one only comes out by what? Prayer and fasting." So he didn't say it couldn't come out. He said not other than prayer and fasting. So I think there is still power in prayer. I think there is still opportunity there. It's not lost.
And I would agree with that assessment. These different types of spirits, per se, may require different protocols in order to cast them out. And, that's something we may not know. Even though we may be given the power and authority to do so, we may not know the right protocol for a particular spirit or entity or that type of a thing. So in doing so, it's kind of a crapshoot if you're not sure. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, it's one of those things where, do you try or do you not try? But I could tell you that very many demons could be cast out simultaneously. You just have to look at the story in Mark chapter 5, where Jesus casts out the demon and asks, "What's your name?" He says, "We are legion, for we are many." And, he casts out all these unclean spirits, and
they went to the
healed of that.
They went into the pigs.
Yep.
They sure did. They went to the pigs.
And they ran into the sea.
They did.
Well, what I'm finding on my spiritual path, because, see, unlike some of the other people, I just had my spiritual awakening in the last couple of years. I never even picked up a Bible. I was taught not to even read it. And so I don't have to unlearn anything. And so my relationship is sort of more organic, I guess you could
That's
say.
awesome.
And so it's like, once I realize, here's one of the biggest things, besides the fact that they're hiding the existence of God and where you live and all that. I get all that. There's another big thing that they're continually, it's a problem. It's the power of prayer. I had a YouTube stream taken down, and they shut my channel down for like a month because I dare said in a stream that, I thought it can really heal. And what I'm finding in my own personal life is whenever they say the prayer, and I'm not saying I'm righteous, but I have moments, and they say the power of prayer of a righteous man, if it's within God's will and his law, he'll do it. And I'm finding that it's a huge thing. It really works. But at the same time, I'm like, first of all, I keep forgetting it, because here's the one thing they really want to do. They want to make you embarrassed praying. They want to make you not want to ever pray, like it's not a thing, like it can't do anything. Thoughts and prayers, ha ha ha, does nothing. Meanwhile, all these people are dead. No, it's a real thing if you use it correctly. The problem is now we've got a bunch of toddlers. We're just figuring this out. And now, again, like you say, watch your words, because the words are important and they mean things. I mean, God spoke everything into existence. So our words matter, and we have to watch ourselves, because if you've read The Monkey's Paw, it's a poem that talked about, it's where you get the saying, careful what you wish for. You could wish for something and God could grant it, but it might not be the way that you're expecting. And he does use us in really interesting ways. And maybe something that seems negative eventually turns positive. But for a while there, it seems real negative, but we live in a different space and time. What are your thoughts, smart people? What? No, oh, come on. That was a good one. Oh, you guys are bad.
No, you're
but Rebecca is awesome. Thank you so much. You're so very kind. And I think.
Wait. Wayne was about to say I'm awesome. Don't stop him.
You are correct. I mean, that's definitely, you do have to be careful what you wish for. Be mindful of the things you say, because they can come to fruition, and it may not be in the way that you intend. But you have to keep in mind, intention is everything. And sometimes God has better plans for us, or different plans for us, than what we may want or desire at a given moment. And, we lose sight of the long game, per se. And God doesn't lose sight of the long game. He's always got that in mind for us. So we see in the short term, and he could see long term. So something in the short term that we may like and think looks good to us may not be the best thing for us in the long term. So God knows the beginning from the end, and he will take care of that situation in one way, shape, or form. And the power of prayer is a very powerful thing. The Bible informs us that the fervent, effectual prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So with that in mind, that's the power of intention, pure intention, and that's how prayer operates. And it's very powerful, especially when done in numbers, when multiple people pray for the same thing. If you pray with, your friends, or pray with others for the same thing, and it's in God's will, that really does availeth a lot.
Well, to that end, why don't we? That's actually something I've been wanting to do for a while. So maybe we should think about that for next week. Let's think about something we'd like to pray for and manifest specifically, because I think we can, and I think we ought to do that. So that we all.
Can I ask could we do it right now for everyone in this room?
Okay.
And pray for. I mean, I could start it if you want, if you don't mind.
Yeah. What are we praying for?
I was just gonna say, dear Father, please watch over us and guide us through these times. Please continue to help us wake up our family and friends and our loved ones, and continue to guide us and shower us with your blessings. Bring us healing. Bring us happiness, bring us joy, and comfort us, and stay with us through these times. I thank you, Father, In the name of Jesus, I thank you.
Amen.
Something like that?
Yeah, Wayne, you're up.
Amen. That's all I got to say to that. That was a very, very good prayer. You have a great heart, Ceiling Fan Man.
Oh, thanks, man.
Okay. Well, I will. I will join in and say, Dad, thank you so much for this community and for those in our community who are learning to follow you and learning to know your name, learning to feel your touch and see who you are.
Amen to that, too. I'll add one on there.
Yeah.
Lord, I just pray that you will pour out your blessings on the folks out there in our community here, Lord, that the ones that are earnestly seeking you, Lord, and are looking for guidance in their life, whatever that may be, and whatever their needs may be, fill their needs, Lord. Show them your power and your glory. Pour out your blessings upon them, like I had said earlier here. Please bless these people and help them to find whatever it is that they're seeking in this life, Lord, for the time is short. We know it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Right on.
Beautiful. And I do ask Father all the time for knowledge more than anything. Like, show me the right way, give me the judgment, figure out how to do this, rather than, I want this, I want that. Because I remember, when he asked, was it Solomon, and he asked for wisdom, and I was like, that was cool. Because if you have wisdom, then he showered him with all kinds of blessings. But if you've got the wisdom, that'll take you really far in life, more than anything,
Oh, definitely. Wisdom is something that's a very precious commodity. It's more valuable than even knowledge. Knowledge and wisdom are two different things. Knowledge is, knowing things and learning new information and finding out these things. Wisdom is being able to apply that knowledge. And that's an important thing that we do need overall as, not just a community, but as a civilization in general. We need wisdom, and we need a moral authority to keep us in check. And that's something that's missing in our Western society, in our culture. We don't have that moral authority figure anymore. A lot of people have cast out the Word of God and have cast out God's morality out of society. And it's an anything goes kind of a place that we live anymore. It's this whole moral relativism thing that goes on, rather than an actual absolute set of moral standards. And we need to live by this absolute set of moral standards, because when it comes down to it, men can't live together. Like, man cannot live in a larger community if he does not have this type of a moral code to guide him. See, and we lose sight of that because every man thinks they're right in their own mind with everything. And, you can't have that, because if that's the case, then somebody is going to do something that harms somebody else at some point. And that's why you need an absolute standard to live by. And we've been given that standard here in the Holy Bible. This is the moral code that we're supposed to try to follow to the best of our ability. And we all slip up. And that's why we were given Jesus as a propitiation for that. So, because we do mess up, and we could acknowledge that we all mess up, but it's an important thing that we live by these moral standards. So, and that's something that's largely missing now. And I think now more than ever, we need to restore morality to our nation and to our world, because in so doing, I think we could have a much brighter future, and we could maybe, get things back to a better time here, more so than like the way things have been going lately. It's been moral degradation for the longest time, and I think we're about, to the point where we're going to hit rock bottom as a society, and we need to look up and seek God, for our redemption draws nigh. So we need to just get our hearts right and be ready for the things to come, because it's going to be a challenging time ahead of us. But we need to set the example for people. We need to try to abide by this morality.
We were brought up in a society where, yeah, you want to have fun. It's like, sex or drugs or alcohol, whatever, and it's money, and that's what gets you happiness. And, we've been seeking the joys through the treasures of this world. And then when you realize, like, once you truly find a connection to the Creator, and not only does joy fill you, like, even when things are looking ridiculously horrible, there's still there's that presence, like, when you were sick and your mom would, like, take care of you or bring you soup or something. It was comforting. He's there all the time. Even if you're in a trouble situation, you know that he's there for you. And so it's like, when you get that, not only do you get that inner joy that never leaves, even in times of trouble, but you also lose the fear of death. And the love of the world comes along with the fear of death. And when you realize you let go of that, that goes away too. I'm not saying I want to die, but I don't fear it anymore, because, like Baldini always says, don't threaten me with a good time. So when I'm done with this life, then I get to see God sooner or closer. I'm fine with that too. So I'm going to do all the works that I'm told to do here while I'm here, because obviously we're awake at this period in time for a purpose. You can't deny that. And so if we do whatever we need to do, and that's when God goes, okay, you're done, come on home, I'm fine with that too. So once you tap into this other side and you realize that the material world will never bring you the true happiness and fulfillment, but the spiritual world does, like in a minute, it's amazing. You just can't go back.
It is a peace that surpasses understanding, and that's how the Bible describes it, and that's how I would describe it. I mean, it's a peace. It's not always, you're not always giddy, happy, or you know what I mean, but you could be content with your situation, and you could be calm, and be at peace with the situation, no matter how bad it gets, because you just God's got your back. So it's one of those things. It's a peace that when you know it, it's something you don't want to let go of.
Indeed. Yep. There is from my perspective, nothing that can compare to hanging on to the love of Dad. Right? Just I know that he's good in every way. There's nothing about him that is darkness in any way, and so that's I always know that he is good, and that's where I'm coming from. So with that, today's show has been brought to you by Bach, Staccato and Fugue in D minor, Scriptura, the letters R, S, and O, and
but not Q.
No. Nope.
Shit.
And most importantly, by that green butter coffee.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Amen to that, brother.
For sure. Anything that you want to add to that, Wayne?
No, man. I just want to, wish everybody a good week ahead. And, sometimes the world is not kind to us, but we need to be kind to one another and be kind to your fellow human being. That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, let's
kind.
Just be nice.
I'm kind. We just don't know what kind.
That's what. Yeah. One of a kind.
If I haven't said that enough about you.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, Ceiling Fan Man, what do you have to add to that?
Well, let's see. What I would say is, well, first of all, shameless plug. I am doing a thing Friday night. Don't forget 8 p.m. West Coast. So we'll see y'all there. But what I would have to say, I would agree. We've got it. The one teaching, if you want to make the Bible down into like one kind of thing, it's love God, know who He is, and then love thy neighbor as thyself. And you put all that together, and that's Eden. That's where we all want to live. And so as you go about through this world, we're in it, not of it. You're going to see people that either you love and know or ones that you don't. And they're masked up. And for whatever reason, some of them are very scared or vaxxed up, whatever. Just be kind and patient. And if they ask you a question, you can, try to show them the way. But I'm not trying to attack anyone and let them, if they want to ask me, I'll show them. So just be accepting from when they get there. Because if they do show up, which I'm finding some new people showing up in some of the shows that I've been doing, they've got to get caught up for the last 4 years. So just be patient with them. But at the same time, they need to do it. We can't spoon feed them anymore. Like you both said, the time is near. And so we all need to armor up, get right with God, talk to him daily, and do what we can to prepare physically, mentally, spiritually for whatever might be coming. Because at the end of the day, don't forget, the reason this is getting so hard and the reason they're attacking us from so many different ways is because we're way stronger than them, because we're talking to the Creator and they know it, and it scares them. We scare them. So just remember that when they start doing all these, draconian things to us, that we scare them. That's why they're doing it. And don't give in to the fear, because Satan's world lives in fear and God's lives in love. So that's what I have to say. Thank you so much for having me, both of you. I really appreciate it.
F the effing effers. That's what I say. So we got that going, which is good. Okay, well, I'll say good night to you guys, and then for you guys, I will say good night again, and hope that you enjoyed our time together. Taking a week off, poppycock, and be back probably for Secrets of Saturn, seems likely, and then I'll maybe be back for Saturday. Who knows what'll happen. It just, who knows what's going to happen. Until then, we'll leave you with some of this. It's from 1992, something like that. In your eyes, something like that. Yes. Have a good week.
Do you remember the moment alone? Do you remember our heart left cold? I walk a lonely road until I find forgiveness. Do you remember that feeling inside? Do you remember the one left behind? I'll be there by your side if I could live forever. 'Cause I wanna find forgiveness in your eyes. I wanna live forever in your eyes. I wanna see heaven in your eyes. Do you remember the promises made? Do you remember the one who was betrayed? Trying to show the way to live forever. Do you remember the trust that was made? Do you remember the tear wiped away? I'm waiting for the day that I see you in heaven. 'Cause I wanna find forgiveness in your eyes. I wanna live forever in your eyes. I wanna see heaven in your the day it began? Do you remember just how far you ran, trying to save the day and live forever? Do you remember the dream you were shown? Do you remember the peace you'd known? I'll be out